Hey everybody, welcome to the program WRSA Radio. I am your host G1. As always, I hope you are having a good week. It's been a busy one for me. Nothing too crazy, just a lot of projects, work-related stuff, that kind of thing going on. Let's jump right into the meat of the thing today, as I don't really have anything else to address right now. It's just you're in that kind of lull period where things are going on, but it's not necessarily anything super important or super focusing, I guess. But anyway, let's just jump right into this. So this week we saw something historical happen in the governing body we call the House of Representatives, although they are not our representatives, of course, but they do represent someone. At any rate, something that has not happened in a very long time, or ever, as far as I'm recalling, has happened. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy was removed from his position, and this is the guy that was third in line for the White House as the succession tree goes, and he was removed from that position. Now, the cynic in me says, who gives a crap? Okay, like I said, they don't really represent us anyway. So, why does it matter? Who cares what nonsense they engage in, as long as it doesn't affect me directly, right? So, that's a valid way of looking at things, I guess, for sure. I don't really care too much about this, since I don't think it really matters much to us in the end. I don't think this alone in any way is going to stem the tide that overtakes us. I don't think it's going to right the ship. I don't, whatever analogy you want to use, I don't think it necessarily does anything. But the other side of me says, well, wait a second. We have to start somewhere, even if they are, baby steps at least. They're steps in the right direction, and every journey begins with a single step, as they say. And I think that's also a very valid way of looking at it. So wherever you kind of come down on the sides of this, I think you can make a case for it. One can become so black-pilled that everything just looks like, oh, it's all a show and it's a joke, and nothing that happens, brings any kind of positive outlook. And I think that is a really kind of a terrible way to be, honestly. Even as jaded as I am about things deep down, I have to remain positive to have something to hold on to. I have to keep thinking it's going to get better, and I need to do things to make it better and to help it get better, because otherwise, why are you bothering to do anything? If you let yourself get so disgusted by everything, you just do nothing. You just sit and just kind of bleh. That's not any way to be. You can't accomplish anything like that. Now, I commend those that voted to remove McCarthy. I think he was terrible at the job and didn't do anything he promised that he was going to do when he was elected to that position. Recall that when the Republicans took the House, they narrowly put McCarthy into the speakership after it was a record-setting number of votes, or at least it had been something that had not happened for, again, a very, very long time. And he only was put in because he agreed that he would do some very specific things when put into that position. One of those things, oddly enough, was to reinstate the ability of a member of the House to submit a motion to remove the speaker. So he had to put in the very acts that removed him from office. Now, that was maybe one of the only things that he did, because for the rest of the things he didn't do. So many of the people who voted for him were not pleased, to say the least. The chief among them, Matt Gaetz, who decided that he would put forth this resolution to remove McCarthy from the position, and after the votes, he was removed. Now, of course, the Dems are going to vote to remove him on party lines. So this all came down to this handful of Republicans who backed the motion to make this thing happen. Now, the process is on to replace him, and many Republicans have thrown their hat in the ring to be chosen for the position. Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise are right now the most prominent, right out of the box. But others will surely jump in over the next few days, a day or two. I think that they're talking about doing the vote sometime next week. But it will be interesting to see what comes of this and who eventually ends up in that position. Now, that being said, what should we think about this in reality? What should we take of this? There was wide-scale dissension in the ranks of the GOP, with many decrying the move and denouncing those who instigated it. There are GOP members who are calling the Republicans who backed this motion traitors and calling for their removal and expulsion from the GOP conference, which is about the stupidest thing I think I've read in some time. So let's kind of look at the logic of that. And I'm speculating here because I don't really have any idea what they are truly motivated by here. I have my suspicions. And I'm talking about the people in Congress, not the populace at large who either backed this or didn't back this. The logic that these people in Congress are putting forward, and the talking heads as well, is that by doing this, Gates and the others somehow sided with the Democrats and helped the Democrats. Now, that's a flimsy kind of bullshit excuse, if you ask me. And I say that I'm speculating here, but what I think is really at the heart of this pushback has nothing to do with those kind of petty party politics at all, because these people suddenly grow a spine when, trying to, we're going to stand up to the Democrats now. No, this is about money to Ukraine. Okay. And again, that's me speculating, but that's what I really believe this boils down to. Many members of Congress on both sides of the aisle are making bank off of the money that is going to Ukraine. I can't lay out specific details of that because, of course, they're keeping that kind of hidden. But, there's a process there. And we know what happened with the FTX scam that Sam Bankman-Fried was running. The taxpayer money gets sent to the Ukraine. The Ukraine connections then take that money and they send it back to the U.S. after they skim some of the, off the top for themselves. They send it back and it's donated to political parties and the connected people's nonprofits, their campaigns and lobbyists. And almost every one of these people up there in the Congress are getting fat off of the taxpayer in this manner. They're engaging in this in some shape, form, or fashion, either directly or indirectly through just having stocks in some of these big government contractors that are, again, making taxpayer money off of this war in Ukraine. It is a scam from top to bottom, and Kevin McCarthy was a big player in helping that scam continue. He shows up to the State of the Union address with his little yellow and blue neckerchief or tie or whatever the hell he had on his suit there. He's front and center amongst them. And again, I'm speculating, but I suspect that every GOP Congress member that is being critical of this move is eating from that fire hose of Ukrainian grift in some form or another. And they are afraid that, that a new speaker will somehow impact the flow of funds to that supply chain, which is the only supply chain that never seems to get disrupted in the current day, it seems. But to hell with all of them. Tear it all down. Tear all that down. If changing the speaker disrupts the plans and impacts the goals, then good. What whatever we can do to slow or degrade the leeching our government engages in, the better. And that's how I see it anyway. I get the cries of pain and gnashing of teeth from the GOP party members, that are on the take. I understand why they're complaining about this, but what I don't get is that there are plenty of people out in the regular world that dislike this. How is that? How can you not see what's going on here? How do you remain loyal to someone like McCarthy and those GOP members they don't have a single drop of care or concern for you and yours? This man was putting a rubber stamp on the Biden administration's endless flow of your money to Ukraine, that money laundering scheme, and countless other government money laundering schemes. It's all transfer of wealth, okay? He claimed that he would release all of the J6 tapes. He did not. He caved on raising the debt ceiling. He caved on shutting down the government. Time after time, he didn't stand on any principled position. Things that he was supposed to be doing because he said he was a conservative. Oh, we're the conservative wing. We stand up for these things. We have principles. How can you call yourself a conservative? You conserve nothing. Are you telling me that your idea of conservatism is to be nothing more than a speed bump for a steamrolling liberal communist agenda? Oh, well, we tried, guys. We really tried. But you can't even say that. You're telling me that you can't even try to stop anything. And why is that? Why is it that this conglomerate of boomer law and order types or Chamber of Commerce types and the Murica types are just programmed to fold and give in when they're confronted by the hard left after putting out just a few token empty words? They worship this horrid abomination of a deity called compromise. No, we don't want to be the bad guys here, guys. We don't want to be seen as being difficult and hard to work with. Well, why not? Who are you trying to please? Is the opinion of Hollywood and Northeastern elites that important to you? Well, if we say no, the cool kids won't like us. One only has to look at the journey of Marjorie Taylor Greene to kind of see this play out. She gets elected because she's, pro-Trump outsider. Says all the right things to her district. And I know people who live in her district. She gets to Congress and kind of makes a name for herself. And then along the way, she is obviously corrupted by that whole process. She ends up divorcing her husband. And suddenly, after standing up to McCarthy, she's buddy-buddy with McCarthy. Suddenly she's concerned about what all the Washington types think and their opinions. Well, that's not what you're there for. One would think that all of these people out in the real world assume for some reason that the people inside of the Beltway actually care about what they think. They don't care about you. They don't care even if you support them. What they care about is that you keep sending money to them. You are a herd animal to them. They will tend to you and milk you, and when you no longer produce, they will discard you in the most efficient way that they can. The farmer does not care if his cows compete for his attention and approval. Maybe, just possibly, the insiders were pissed off a bit by this move, and it disrupted them for maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. But for me, it was a win, okay? It's a win is a win. You take it and you do what you can with it. But let's get back to Ukraine for a moment as we close out here, because I think this is a far bigger part of the picture than we may know just yet. Because maybe, and maybe by all of this I'm completely wrong here, And this is just another act in the play, okay? Maybe this is just some script that's kind of playing out for us. I don't think that's necessarily the case. Again, that's being very cynical, and really, I don't believe that the elite really have that level of control over everything. They have control, but not even to that extent. But I think what is going to happen here is that these insiders, the deep state, the tribal elders, so to speak, will use this event for something that they have been looking for. They don't let things go to waste. When things happen, they have the ability to at least predict or be good at guessing what will happen, and they are prepared for those eventualities. So they're not going to let this go to waste, because many have believed that the drawdown has been coming in Ukraine, that NATO and the West have been looking for an off-ramp from that war debacle for some time now. And this, along with some other developments, may prove to be just what they were hoping for. We're seeing signals this week from the media, and usually these things don't get in the media unless, for a reason. There's a reason that these things get put out there. Western countries are reporting that they are running out of support for the war. Their economies and defense production capabilities are just grinding down, and they can no longer really support this tempo that is taking place there. The well is going dry, so to speak. Now, the writing is on the wall, and it may be that this replacement of the speaker will be used as a catalyst for cutting off that funding. And I can see the case being made that, this new speaker will shut down the funding from Congress. And since he will likely be a populist-type representative, as I said, Jim Jordan, Steve Scalise, those are kind of the top running candidates right now. They'll be a target of those who are on the inside. And this is going to play right into the hands of those deep staters, because Ukraine will collapse and the Russians will advance to wherever they've drawn their limit, and the blame then will be placed on the Republicans and these, MAGA types for stopping the money. Everyone will be accused of being far-right Nazi Russian supporters, and I know that sounds ignorant to anyone who has a minute of historical knowledge, but keep in mind, we're not dealing with those kinds of people here. It will be used as yet another reason to investigate and slander and suspect the right of being treasonous anti-Americans. Well, to that I say, treason doth never prosper. What is the reason? For if it prosper, none dare call it treason. Now that's all I got to say for this week, folks. Like and subscribe. Come see us over on Gab and the Mothership, and I will see you on the next episode.